Thank you all for joining us again. And as we all know, this month we've been talking about financial literacy because it's Financial Literacy Month, and we dedicate this whole month to learn more about our finances, how to grow in our finances, how to improve, and how to learn new ways to save money and to make money. So today we have a special guest with us who will be talking to us about different ways that we can invest our money, different ways to grow our money for tomorrow, because we all know tomorrow is going to come. And when it comes, it hits hard. And we don't want it to come without prepared. We don't want it to come and it will catch us by surprise. So we want to be prepared. We want to be ready. So everything that we learned this month, I pray that we'll all use it to work. And also in the future, if you need to reach us or you have more questions, you have more comments or something that you want to talk about, please don't hesitate to reach me. You can also reach our guest that's coming to speak to us today. He has a lot of information to share with us. And afterwards, you can get his contact so you can reach out to him for more information. So I'm not going to waste any much more time. I'm going to introduce our guest speaker for today, Mr. James Elias. Thank you so much for coming to join us this evening.
You're welcome, Eugenia. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me this evening. I'm very grateful to be here, and I appreciate you taking the time to create an environment where people can learn and continue to develop their acumen in many different ways. Um, Hello, everyone. My name is James Elias. I am with Edward Jones. I'm a certified financial planner with Edward Jones Investments. My office is located in Smyrna, Delaware, and I've been there since December of 2019. And Eugenia mentioned to me that she was doing financial literacy this month, and I thought it'd be a great time for me to uh, jump in and maybe answer some questions that everyone has. And I know right now with the current headlines, the major headlines with the tariff announcements are really triggering a lot of down market currently right now in our economic situation. But Eugenia is going to post my website onto the chat group. And what I'm going to encourage everyone to do is when you go into my website, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom right, there's a link called Market. It is called the Weekly Market Wrap. And that will provide you with a lot of in-depth detail about what's going on in the current markets right now today, what's to be expected for this year in 2025 and moving forward into the next year, 2026 as well. They talk a lot about tariffs. They talk a lot about stocks and bonds, the S&P 500. They talk about different industry leaders when it comes to sectors. They talk about rate cuts, what the Feds are anticipating, and how that could potentially impact our current economic situation. So those experts will be able to provide you with a lot more details regarding about what's going on right now. Um, I also want to just mention out there that this call isn't for me to tell you individual stocks to go and purchase right now or individual mutual funds or ETFs or anything like that, because everybody has their own unique situation, and what may be good for Eugenia may not be good for someone else. But just wanted to start off there and introduce myself. And currently, right now in our markets, as Eugenia mentioned earlier, a lot of people find this a scary place. And what I do is I like to celebrate when my clients are making money, and I like to celebrate when the market's down. Because when the market's down, everything's on sale. By a show of hands, and you can click the little reaction button and put your hand up. Who likes buying things at a discount? I think that's everybody. Everybody loves buying things at a discount. And right now, the market is at a big discount. And if you go all the way back to 1971 and look at the S&P 500, it was positive in 43 years out of those years. And a lot of the years in a bear market, when it was down 20% or more, it came back pretty strong into double digit territory most of the time, averaging around 10.5%. And some of that information you will see in that weekly market wrap when you go to my website. And I believe you can also save that as a favorite because any new information that they provide will go into that same space in there. So I just want to take a minute to pause there and ask if anybody has any success stories they would like to share or any questions at this point in time. And just throwing it out there that Um, no question is a silly question, right? The only silly question is the one that isn't asked. Trust me, if you don't think that you know the information, there's probably a lot of others who don't know the information as well. And I'll be the first one to raise my hand as well. Edward Jones is the all-star team behind me, and there's some things that I may not be 100% familiar with, but I'm always able to find the answers out there to be able to support my clients' uh, current questions that they have so that they have peace of mind. Um, any questions at all right now? Okay. So when you're taking a look at a current market right now, where it's down about 11%, okay? There are a lot of things that are at a discount. We'll say almost everything is. Some industry sectors, like the energy sector right now, is leading the pack. That may be positive, right? There are some other stocks out there that are positive as well, but most of the markets are currently down right now. So, how can you act to be able to continue to uh, capture the energy in the market so that way when it rebounds, you'll be able to recapture the value of your money going down at a quicker capacity. And a lot of times, most people, the first answer they say is, hey, inject more money into the market, right? If you have cash on the sidelines, it's a great time to put cash in the market because when you do, you're always going to be able to or recapture the value of that money going down. Okay. And I'll give you an example. So if you had $100,000 and the market went up 10%, you now have $110,000. Now let's see the following year, the market went down 10% when you started with $110,000. I ask this question a lot to my clients, and sometimes the answer isn't always what people think it is. So if the market goes down when you have 110,000, you end up actually having $99,000. So you have $1,000 less than what you started from initially. So if we take that same concept and you're able to have cash on the sidelines to inject that into the market when the market is down, you'll end up putting more money in there at cheaper prices. So that way, when the market goes back up, the recapture value of that money goes up that much faster, which is a beautiful thing. But for those of us who don't have cash on the sidelines, right? Who maybe just have their savings account, their emergency cash that they're keeping aside for their families in case something pops up. Trust me, I get it. There's a lot of us who are in that situation. When you don't have additional money to inject into the market, this is a great time to rebalance as well. So if you currently partner with a financial advisor, Edward Jones is very, very strict on saying, hey, look at your long-term approach, not deviating from your current strategy. However, they're saying that if you're diversified well enough, you will be able to weather the storm that is going on right now. And when you rebalance your accounts, it's very similar like injecting new money into the market. However, doesn't increase the value of your money right away. But you're able to sell a lot of things that are down now and buy into, so it's the old buy low, sell high strategy. So you buy into these investments that are really low, right? And then once the market starts turning around, the value of those investments will increase at a much higher rate, which is a beautiful thing. So even if you don't have money to put into the market now, reach out to your financial advisor, or if you do it self-directed onto the own platform, or this could be a good time to reach out to somebody that you may trust as a trusted resources locally in your area, or you could reach out to me if you wanted to bounce some ideas around to see how can I rebalance my portfolio to capitalize on the markets being down now. Time in the market is always going to be the most important value that you have. Timing the market is very, very difficult. But right now, we don't have to time the market because the market's already down. So having the flexibility to get in when the market's down, we don't know if it's reached its bottom yet, right? But you never know. So most of you are probably contributing to a 401k plan or maybe IRAs throughout the year. It's called a dollar cost average strategy. So a
Yeah, I'm
dollar
gonna turn
cost
this thing
average
down.
strategy.
Oh, push pause. It's like Dr. Eugenia.
Okay, Miss Jean must have put her mic on mute. So if you have a question, please feel free to just pop right on in there while we're talking. But dollar cost average strategy, which is the DCA, that's the acronym for it. It's something that we're doing every single day. Every paycheck that you get, if you're putting money into your 401k plan, is what's called a dollar cost average strategy. That means that as the markets are going up and down like this, you are consistently buying into investments at different prices, pardon me. And over time, history shows us that the dollar cost average strategy, you will always buy shares at a cheaper cost because you're consistently putting money in, whether that's weekly, bi-weekly, twice a month, monthly, however it plans out, it ends up working out in your strat, or it ends up working out to support your goals in the long term, which is a very positive thing. Any questions so far? Monica, were you trying to ask a question?
No, sorry.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
Hmm.
So one of the biggest takeaways that a lot of my clients remember all the time is this. The best 10 days in the market typically occur within 2 weeks of the worst 10 days. I'm going to repeat that. The best 10 days in the market typically occur within 2 weeks of the worst 10 days. So what does that tell us? That tells us that we that shares with you not to take all your money out of the market, right? And waiting to time the market to get back in. It's okay to inject more cash if you have it, which most of us don't have all the time. You can always rebalance the account, which is a great strategy in a down market. So that way it grows even better when the market starts turning around. But history repeated itself and complements that strategy. When you saw the markets about what, a week and a half ago, you saw the NASDAQ up over 12%, right? So some of those upticks in the three major indices with the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the S&P 500 jumped up really high. And that complements what history tells us. The best 10 days typically occur within 2 weeks of the worst 10 days. So while you're in the market, while the market is trending down right now, no one likes to see the value of their money going down, trust me. But if you have a trusted resource on your team or locally that you can reach out to, please feel free to do so, because it's only going to be able to support how or prepare for when you're going to retire, or even while you're living in retirement, make sure that you're mitigating some risk to take while the market's going down, but capitalize on it once it comes back around. Any questions? Okay, I know tax deadline just happened on the 15th for majority of us, unless you're doing an extension, maybe for some business owners or people who didn't make it for the April 15th deadline. Do we have any questions regarding opportunities that can reduce your taxable income during the year for your specific situation, or what the difference is between a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA and how it impacts now and how it impacts your future? Does anybody have any questions regarding those? I'm either really good at what I do or a lot of people are shy today. And sometimes I like to throw those questions out there, and I want to talk about topics that are important to people. I don't want to sit here and talk about things that maybe some majority of you already know about, right? I don't want to sound like a broken record and discuss topics that uh, people don't have, that's not relevant right now, or people don't want to hear about. So are there any important topics or anything important on somebody's mind right now that you would like to discuss? And it could be regarding anything. It could be regarding business. It could be regarding taxes. It can be regarding IRAs, your employer plans, the markets. Okay, Alex has a question. He says, I have a question. So you can go ahead and unmute yourself. I don't believe that everybody is muted. Eugenia, no, not everybody's muted automatically, correct? Alex, if you'd like to take yourself off mute and ask the question, that'd be great. Or if you want to type it into the chat, feel free to type it into the chat as well, please. Oh, it says, and oh, pardon me, I'll go back to Julia first. Julia says, we are muted. Do you mind sharing ways to reduce your taxable income? So that's a great question, Julian. Everybody's family is a little bit differently, right? Whether you're a single tax filer, whether you're married filing jointly, or if you're a business owner, there's a lot of different ways that you can reduce your taxable income. But I'll give you a high level overview of how you can do that, because there are certain income limits that you have to abide by depending on which route you take. So the best case is if you partner, or if you are currently employed and they offer a 401k plan, 401k, 403b, 457 plan, TSP plan, anything like that, that pre-tax money, there are no income limits that you can that you have to abide by in order to put that money in there. So if you're under the age of 50 years young, right, for 2025, that limit is $23,500 that you can put in there and max out. Now, obviously, you have to be able to continue to financially meet your monthly expenses. But if it's feasible for you to put in as much as you can, that is going to be the best way to reduce your taxable income, by putting money into your pocket first instead of paying Uncle Sam at the end of the year. If you're older than 50 years young, that limit increases up to 30,500. So you're able to put more money in there once you're older than 50 years young, which is a great thing. Traditional IRAs allow you to reduce your taxable income as well, which is up to $7,000 if you're older, if you're younger than 50 years young. And if you're older than 50 years young, you can put in $8,000, but that does have income limits. So whether you're a single tax filer or you're married filing jointly, if you're over a certain total income, your adjusted gross income is more than or your modified adjusted gross income is more than a certain amount, then you cannot, you may only get partial or no tax deduction at all. So it really depends on your income, and you can speak with your financial advisor and or your tax accountant to find out if that would be a suitable option for you. Business owners have a lot more flexibility with a few different plans, which they have owner K plans, simple IRAs, SEP IRAs. So it depends on which one of those plans are more feasible for the business owner. But those are ways that you can do pre-tax money as well to reduce that taxable income and put more money into your pocket. Roth IRAs are not tax. Roth IRAs do not create tax deductions. They create tax-free growth for the rest of your life. So if anybody has any questions about Roth IRAs and the advantages that they offer, please put it in there and I'd be happy to share that with you. But ways to reduce your taxable income are by 401ks, 403bs, 457 plans. There are no income limits, and they have a lot higher limits that you could typically invest in there. And if you're not covered by an employer plan, there are no income limits. If you're not covered by an employer plan or contributing into one, you don't have to worry about an income limit, and you can do the 7,000 or the 8,000 depending on your age into a traditional IRA and still receive that favorable tax deduction, which reduces your taxable income and puts more money into your pocket. So those are ways to be able to do that. Does that answer your question, Julia?
Yes, thank you.
You are so welcome. And once again, depending on your situation, it may be very unique and different from the next person. So I'd reach out to your tax accountant and or your advisor, or we can connect offline and find out a little bit more about where you're at today to see what those options are that would be most suitable for you.
Sure, thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking.
Mhm.
And then, were you going to say something else, Julia?
No.
All right, great. And Alex, I have a question that says, I am muted, however. So is there who's managing Eugenia? Who's the host? I see.
Everybody's on mute now, so
All
they
right.
can. So Alex, do you want to ask your question? I know he typed it in the chat, so if you want to.
Oh, he did. All right. So question one, Roth IRA versus 401k for people in their 30s. Beautiful question. So if you're making, or if you're getting tax returns, if you are getting money back from the IRS at the end of every year, keep putting as much money into the Roth IRA as you can. Okay. I'll just make it plain and simple. If you're getting tax returns at the end of the year, putting money into a Roth IRA is extremely favorable because it's tax-free growth for the rest of your life. Here's the cool part about it as well. It's like a super emergency savings account. Okay. Any contributions that you make into that Roth IRA, if you need it as a super emergency, the goal is not to take it out, but if you do, anything you contribute to it, you can take out penalty-free and tax-free at any point in time. So over the next 5 years, you put in $7,000 and you have 35,000. Now let's say that amount is 45,000. So it grew $10,000. And you're like, hey, I need this money, whether it's for a down payment on our home or for college education or whatever the case may be. You just need the money out. You'd be able to take out $35,000 penalty-free and tax-free and not have to blink an eye at all. Now that extra $10,000 of earnings that it made, you would not be able to take that out until age 59 and a half years young, without being penalized and taxed on that portion of it. So to answer your question, Alex, if you're in your 30s or at any age, I have clients that range anywhere from 18 to 96 years old. If you're getting money back from the IRS, dump as much money in as you can into the Roth IRA, because that'll be your tax-free growth into the future. And it acts as a super emergency savings account where you could take that money out penalty-free and tax-free. That is the same for both a 401k Roth, and it's the same as a Roth IRA. Because remember, 401k Roths do not have income limits. You can put as much money as you want between the 401k Roth and the traditional 401k. Roth IRAs have income limits based on single tax filer, or if you're married filing jointly, or if you're married filing separately, they have different income limits where you can go through the front door for a Roth IRA. Backdoor of a Roth IRA, it's called a backdoor Roth IRA. If you make over a certain amount, you can do that. It's more like a Roth conversion. So you're actually taking after-tax money, putting it in there that turns into pre-tax, and then putting it back into a Roth IRA. So it's basically a Roth conversion. It doesn't make sense for a lot of people, but it can make sense for certain situations, depending on how much income you have and if you are exhausting all the other savings vehicles as you're preparing for retirement when you have earned income. Does that answer all your questions, Alex, regarding a Roth IRA versus 401k? You're very welcome, Alex. And keep in mind, folks, that, Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs, you can have money market funds, CDs in them, you can have stocks, you can have bonds in them. So doesn't matter which one you choose to do. What matters is making sure that your investment strategy supports what your overall risk tolerance is and how you feel about the value of your money going up and down. Okay. So you can have different investments in any of those specific vehicles, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. Great questions. Anybody else have something important on their mind, a topic that they would like to discuss? If anybody has any kids, 529 plans, the IRS is starting to get really creative with 529 plans for college savings. So they're looking at if they're held within for a certain amount of years, those children, if they don't end up going to college, because that's always been the biggest question, right? Do I end up doing a custodian account where my kids can use that money for whatever they want, and at the age of 21, we have to turn it over to them, or are they going to go to college? And if they don't go to college, what ends up being the outcome at that point in time? So the IRS is getting creative and creating ways for people to benefit from that as well. And if you look at the Secure 2.0 Act, it highlights a lot of the changes that they're making there, making it more favorable for families to put money into 529 plans for those qualified tax deferral advantages. And if they don't go to school, you're able to contribute up to the limits of a Roth IRA, right? Moving up either 7,000 if you're under 50, 8,000 if you're older than 50, into that, not losing that qualified tax deferral status. So it ends up being a benefit, and it's up to over a $35,000 lifetime limit as of right now. There's still a lot of gray area in there, but they will continue to develop that and make sure that families can take advantage of that in the future if their children do not go to college for those specific 529 plans. So they're really doing some favorable things with that. A lot of interest rates. You heard the Feds announce that there's going to be a 0.5 point rate cut. They didn't give us a definitive answer when that will be, but that is going to be something in the near future. However, if you're looking to take advantage of cash on the sideline, so if you have your emergency cash bucket, or if you're a business owner and you have a lot of cash that sits around and you don't use it, you're able to say, hey, I need some here, I need some there. Money market mutual funds are a great avenue for that right now, ranging anywhere from 4.2% to 4.32%, just like a regular savings account in your bank account. The value of that money cannot go down, and you can continue to earn some really great interest for that cash sitting on the sidelines. Do me a favor, take a look at your bank statement to see how much interest you earned in the last year, and then say, hey, can I benefit from putting money to a money market mutual fund that is tied to the Federal Reserve interest rates, and it could give you a favorable rate. anywhere between 4.2%, 4.32%. So as the feds cut interest rates, that interest rate will gradually go down. So July of last year, it was at 5.33%. Now it's around 4.3%. So it's come down a percent since after July of last year because they announced those 2 or 3 rate cuts in the end of 2024 during the second half of 2024. So it's a great way to have your money that's sitting on the sidelines work a little bit hard for you. You work hard for your money. Why not have your money work hard for you while sitting there until you need to utilize it how you see fit? CD rates are a great way to capture money that's not earmarked for a specific amount of times. Fixed annuities are great right now. There's some really quality interest rates over 5%. If you're looking, a fixed annuity is kind of more like a fancier word of a CD, a certificate of deposit, where you're locked in for a certain amount of time. You still have access to 10% of your money if you need it, but it's a great way to take advantage of if you're older than 55 years young and you're looking at ways to maybe lock in your money for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or even more, it's a very safe avenue for you to take advantage of a high interest rate, especially knowing that interest rates are going to go down in the near future. So there's a lot of different ways that we can have your money working for you in this current economy, especially if you're not looking to risk a certain portion of your money. It's a great way to look at different options. So I strongly recommend you reach out to your local financial advisor to see what those options look like for you. And/or if you'd like to touch base on a one-off call after this, during the week next week, I'd be happy to talk to you about those options as well, and how we can support whatever your current and/or future goals are. Any questions or thoughts about that?
I have a question about
Yes, ma'am.
because I didn't get too much about the stocks. What are some safe stocks that we can get into at this time?
Man, that's I get that question every single day. It's such a good question. And you may have not been on the call initially in the beginning. One of the things that I will not and cannot do is offer specific stocks and/or mutual funds or ETFs on this call. If that's something personally that you would like to talk about, my goal is to understand exactly what's important to you, where you're at, make sure that we're not duplicating any efforts, and if it's something that's suitable for you to take advantage of. So if that's something that that you would like to understand a little bit more about, then we would have to have a separate call sometime next week to be able to answer that question for you. Unfortunately, I cannot share that on this call today, and I hope you understand that.
Absolutely, that's completely fine. I would love to definitely get a call. But I mean, I'm thinking about since technology right now, like with Tesla and robots and all of these things, like there's a lot of talk about that. So that's why I asked that question. But yeah, we can talk more.
It's a great question, and especially with China announcing the AI over there that they can do it at a much cheaper cost. That's what impacted a lot of AI stocks over here on this side, and still tariffs are making more of an impact on the technology sector. So a lot of tech companies and major AI companies are feeling a little bit more of that impact. And to answer your question, that makes it even a lot more attractive, right, to purchase some of those that may come back around when the market does turn around, and hopefully some of these tariff discussions come to negotiating some deals, and that way we can continue to move on from there. But yes, we can certainly tackle that on a one-on-one call, and I'd be happy to do that. I know Eugenia is going to post my contact information. I believe there was a flyer that she sent out that has my contact information, and she should be posted it on the chat as well, that you could circle back on to check out. And those who missed maybe the call early on, My website will be posted on there as well. So if you scroll down to the bottom right of my website, there is a link called the Weekly Market Wrap. So you can click on that. That will provide you so much more peace of mind about how the tariffs are impacting us, what to expect, moving into the second half of this 2025, moving into 2026, and give you some really historical and factual data that can give you some peace of mind. I've actually received a lot of emails from clients that have shared with me, gave them a lot of peace of mind because they had some real major concerns about what's going on, which makes sense. So when you take a look at that weekly market wrap, it'll really give you some strong peace of mind. So I hope everybody, and I'm going to encourage everybody to take a look at that. All right, I see Eugenia, can you talk about ways to invest safely for people in their 50s for retirement? So yes, of course. As I had mentioned, everybody has their own unique investment strategy. So depending on where you're at, right, I have an 87 now for this year business owner who um, has 100% of the money in stocks, right? Because he understands the risk versus reward. But somebody maybe like me may not want to do that and say, hey, I want to make sure that I have more of a 50-50 type approach. So we have a risk tolerance questionnaire, and all financial advisors should have that to be able to understand, when are you looking to retire? How do you feel about the value of your money going up and down? And then we can figure out ways that people can still invest their money, but have confidence and feel comfortable knowing that in a down market like now, oh my gosh, am I going to lose all my money? Or am I going to be able to weather the storm? So there's a lot of different ways, but mostly important is understanding what your overall strategy is and go from there. So if you're into your 60s and 70s and you've built your nest egg and you're not looking to get invested in the market anymore, you heard me share some other very good ideas when it comes to CDs. There's some corporate bonds out there. There are fixed annuities to take advantage of where the value of your money cannot go down, and you're going to be getting a guaranteed interest rate that could provide you with some good interest over time that will keep up with inflation. If you look at inflation over the last 50 years, it's been 3%. So a lot of interest rates are higher than 3% right now, which is a very attractive opportunity for individuals who are seeking to just have their money keep growing a little bit at a time and not be exposed to the market. But if you are investing your money, now's the time to rebalance. Now's the time to put more money in if you have the flexibility to do so. And you'll see the impact that'll make positively when the markets start turning around. Great questions. Anybody else have any very specific questions right now?
Yes, I have a question. Good evening.
Please.
So my question has to do more with I think it's an annuity in terms of like looking post retirement, because usually the way a lot of people go about it is you either save money and then you have that savings, or you do a 401k. But I was just wondering if you could touch about like an annuity in terms of, if you retire and you don't know how long you're gonna live, are you able to touch on like how, in terms of you paying them, like maybe putting all your money in there and then them giving you like weekly payments? Can you touch on that? And is that also like a feasible thing versus you having your money on you and then maybe like you're 89 and you run out of money? Are you able to touch on that?
Of course, 100%. Such a valuable question because that applies to over 4% of us in today's world. So back in the day, if you drew a pyramid, okay, people had their pensions, they had their social securities, and then at the bottom of the pyramid, they had their nest egg, what they built up in their savings, their 401ks, their IRAs, right? 86% of the companies back in the day used to do pensions. Now in today's world, that pyramid is upside down. Okay. Now at the top of it, you have your Social Security. In the middle, you have your nest egg, right? At the bottom, there's a big fat question mark. How can we create pension-like income? So this question is extremely valuable for those that only have Social Security. So if you only have Social Security and you're trying to create ways to develop pension-like income, there are ways to do it through annuities with guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefits. Okay. I heard you mention something about putting all your money in there. So if you talk to an insurance broker, right, somebody who works for an insurance company, they might be 100% okay putting 100% of your money in there. And Edward Jones, I'll just share with you Edward Jones' philosophy. Edward Jones' philosophy is that we don't like to put more than 35 to 40% of your overall money into an annuity because they want you to be diversified across the board. They don't believe that putting all your eggs in one basket, that old saying, putting all your eggs in one basket, will ultimately be the best result for you. They want you to be diversified, and putting a portion of that money in there to create the pension-like income that you are seeking for your future can be a big advantage for sure, 100%. So they have variable annuities, which are tied to the market, right? And it'll grow up and down. Okay. You have your your investment piece of it, you have your death benefit piece, and then you have your income piece. The protected income benefit will grow at a guaranteed interest rate throughout however many years until you activate your income. But the investment, the regular portion will move up and down as the markets, but you're paying into that variable annuity to get that protected income benefit later on in life. So it pays you out throughout the rest of your life. And it's a very unique feature because it is like a pension. Even if those monies in the annuities went down to $0, it would continue to pay it out over your lifetime. Now, obviously, they do the calculations based on those annuities where, right, you're going to have to live past 100 years old and typically before that money goes down to zero, but it will continue to pay out pension-like income in the future. If you're someone who does not like the flexible or the volatility in the market and you don't want to see that money go down, they have fixed annuities with guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefits that will also provide that income for you. Most of the time, clients who are utilizing that are looking to turn on that income feature a little bit sooner. So maybe within the next year, 2 years, or 3 years. People who are using variable annuities with that protected income benefit usually is probably 5 years to 10 years out to have that grow as much as it can over that time frame before you end up turning on that income feature. So hopefully that answers your question. Yes, it can definitely be a very suitable option for you, and it may not be, right? Depends on your overall income situation, whether you're single, whether you're married, or have a partner. So a lot of those variables come into play to see if that'll be a suitable option for you. But it's definitely a feasible one for those that it can positively impact as they are living in retirement to get that additional income. It's a great question. Thank you. Did that answer your question for you?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Did you have any additional questions about that?
No more questions.
All right, wonderful. Please keep the questions coming. Any other questions or topics that are important to anybody?
Okay,
Hello.
so I have. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I had a question on what is your thoughts on rolling 401k from an old job to an annuity?
So once again, everybody's situation is going to be very unique, ma'am. It's a wonderful question, and it just depends on your overall situation. A lot of times when I'm partnering with my clients, when we're talking about old employer plans that they have, depending on their age, right? I may ask questions. Hey, do you believe that you're going to need this money? None of us have a crystal ball, but do you believe you're going to need this money for anything in the near future? All right. Well, maybe you'll think about rolling that over to your new chapter of your career, right, into their 401k plan, and take in case you need to borrow from it, as it's there's a as another resource for you in the future. Or if not, you're able to roll that over to a traditional IRA, or you're able to roll that over to a Roth IRA and continue to benefit, because you're limited to certain investment choices with the 401k plans. And outside of those plans, with a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, depending on what you had when you were building that up, there's over 10,000 different investment options that you have flexibility to do so. So I know I'm going to be vague in answering this question for you, but rolling all your money over, most of the time, what people do is you'll take your old employer plan and you'll roll it into, so if it's all pre-tax money, you're going to roll it all into a traditional IRA. If it has some pre-tax money and some after-tax money, you're going to roll that portion, the pre-tax money into a traditional IRA, and you roll the after-tax money into, the Roth money into a Roth IRA, to make sure that you are not impacted adversely that way. And then once the monies go to those specific vehicles, then you would say, hey, all right, how much do I potentially want to put into an annuity? Am I looking to get income out of it? Am I not looking to get income out of it? I just want a portion of it. Because I do have some clients that will retire, and they have very big amounts in their 401k plans. They did a great job saving over their lifetime. And let's just say they came into $1 million, and they're saying, you know what? Hey, I'd love to put 250,000 into X, Y, and Z. I don't want the value of this money to go down because it might be earmarked for X, Y, Z, right? I want the value of that money to generate a certain amount in income, right? There's many different ways to reposition your assets, and it depends on what you're looking to accomplish. But can you do it? You certainly have the flexibility of doing it. Is it necessarily right to do 100% of the money and put it into there? I would uh, say that would not be the most suitable recommendation, but you certainly have the flexibility of putting a portion in there if that's something important for you. I've had a few clients actually over this past year who put a pretty sizable portion of their old 401k plans into something because the interest rates were so high, and right now, with the way that the markets are doing now, it ended up being a very, very solid decision for them, because that portion of the money is not being impacted by the overall markets. So it just depends on your situation and what you're trying to accomplish. Thanks for asking. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. And there are 3 different types of annuities. There's fixed annuities, there's indexed annuities, and there are variable annuities. So it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. And we can dive deeper into those another time, or a one-off, depending on if someone has an interest in understanding a little bit more about that, but we'd be happy to discuss that. There was another question too that someone was so patient with.
Yes. So, I'm just wondering, like maybe just a typical family. You have a husband and wife, they have a house, um, no business, but have a child, and they probably want to have more children. But once again, the day in and day out, bills, 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 savings account is the only thing that's not working for you, but savings.
Mm-hmm.
What is your advice on what is one of the things that you think would be the next step to helping that person?
That is such a common question, and most people think that they're the only one in the boat, and I'd say majority of the population is in that boat. Part of my process, and this should be part of every financial advisor or certified financial planner out there, they should be having a cash flow conversation, right? Understanding exactly what the income you have coming in and exactly what the expenses are with the money going out. That will typically help identify a lot of opportunities to be able to potentially save more money or a debt pay down strategy, right? So a typical family like that, husband, wife, child, own a home, looking to build up their savings. Sometimes there's many ways to be able to find opportunities to start saving more money by just understanding what I don't like the word budget. I call it cash flow, but understanding what your budget looks like, money coming in, money coming out, is the most important part of trying to tackle specific and measurable goals depending on what you're trying to do. So I'd say sitting down with somebody to talk about what your gross income is, what your net income is, what your liabilities are, your monthly expenses, your car insurance, gas, groceries, utility bills, miscellaneous items, going out to eat, subscriptions, all those different things go into cash flow. Understanding and identifying what that is always allows my clients to move forward to the next steps and create a plan that will support that current goal.
That's very helpful. But so say we give you a call and then we get through all the financial. So in the next year or two, there should be some kind of progress.
There better be.
There should be, yes. That's
Listen,
right.
everybody has a part, right?
Yeah.
I tell everybody, I say, you're the CEO of your money. I'm the CFO here to provide guidance and advice. But I very much enjoy working with individuals who have goals, because if you don't have a goal, we can't create a plan and be strategic about making sure that we're meeting, we're ahead on track or behind for that specific goal. So it works both ways. And I find that when you take the time to go over the cash flow and the net worth conversation, yes, everything ties in together, right? Taxes, everything ties in together. Savings, everything ties in together. Debt pay down strategies, everything ties in together. And a lot of times you're able to do both, right? You're able to create debt pay down strategies and you're able to create saving strategies at the same time. Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes it's saying, hey, we need to work on paying down debt. This is the plan. This is where you can be at the end of the year. And then we can start doing X, Y, and Z. My number one goal for every single one of my clients is to make sure that they have an emergency cash goal. And we have that goal set and satisfied before we are investing any money. So that's very important. If you take a look at a single tax filer, they say at least, so this is a rule of thumb, does not apply to everybody. Everybody has their own different thoughts about this. But rule of thumb for single tax filers, they're saying, hey, you should have 6 month worth of expenses saved up. If you're married, filing jointly, and there's only one income in the family, same thing, 6 months worth of monthly expenses. If you're married, filing jointly, and there are two strong incomes in the family, they say 3 months worth of expenses. You may hear a rule out there that says you have to have 12 months of monthly expenses. Now, that's if you want it like that. But when I took my CFP, 6 month worth of expenses for single tax filers, or even if you're a single tax filer and you have two incomes that are very consistent and strong, you can have 3 months worth of expenses as well. So it just depends on everybody's situation, but having that emergency cash reserve bucket is very critical because we never know what tomorrow leads us, if that makes sense.
No, that's really good. So, speaking of taxes, so I'm getting my tax money back. What is the best investment we we can put that in actually at this time?
See, and I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, but there's so many different things, or there's so many different questions that I'd love to ask you to be able to understand exactly where you're at and provide you with an answer. And we could do that on a one-off conversation, but there's a lot of different places. There's a lot of questions that I ask before I come up with that answer, right? Do you have your savings goal met? Wonderful. Do you have anything earmarked over the next 6 months that you need to accomplish? Do you have anything earmarked over the next 12 months that you want to accomplish? So there's a lot of different variables that come into play before you decide to do that, because are you going to be okay if the value of that money goes down, or are you not going to be okay if the value of that money goes down, right?
That's true. Yes.
There's a lot of different questions to ask to find out what the most suitable recommendation would be for that bucket of money, because you can have different strategies for different buckets of money, right? Just depends on what it's being utilized for. So we could talk about that another time on a quick phone call, and I can ask some questions to help you figure out if that's if there's an opportunity for you, depending on how that money is earmarked right now, or if it's not.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Dr. Eugenia, for putting his information in the chat. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you. Keep the questions coming. It's 8:57, but I'm here as long as the questions are coming. I'm happy to stick around. If you can't tell, I'm very passionate about this. I enjoy making a positive difference in everyone's lives. And I know this sounds a little cliche, but knowledge is power, right? The more knowledge we have, the better choices that we can make together and for your families moving forward. I get sad a lot when I come across certain situations where people will receive an inheritance and then don't take the time to go meet with somebody, and then they sell everything and they get the money, and then, oh my gosh, here I'm hit with a 70 something thousand dollar tax bill because I wasn't knowledgeable and didn't understand what to do. So there are a lot of different ways that people can benefit from knowledge. And I certainly enjoy sharing that because I want everybody to be able to make the best decisions for themselves and or their family or their business. So, Eugenia, if no one else has any questions, did you have any additional questions at all? Or we can wrap up depending on your thoughts.
Well, I think you did a great job. It's a lot of information, and I know some of us are confused and not knowing what the next steps are, but it doesn't matter whether you are in the US or outside, because we have people join us in Ghana and UK and Australia, other places. But one thing I think it will help is to find a financial advisor wherever you are to walk you through the process. And also, you don't have to be rich to start investing, because sometimes people feel like I need to start making a lot of money before I can invest. I mean, you have to start from somewhere. Even if you make a minimum wage and they can show you how to save $1 every month, trust me, slowly it will turn into $2. And again, it will yield interest. So don't feel like you're not prepared or you're not ready or you don't make enough money to start investing. I think everyone can have something if we talk to the right people to show us the right way to do it. So to me, a financial advisor is like my GPS on the road. And when I met James back in 2020 when I moved to Delaware, that's when I knew I needed help. I couldn't manage my finances, and I reached out to them. And I mean, James have changed my financial life, and just the way I think about money, the way I think about investment has changed. And I can teach about it like he did, but at least I can give you the basic information that is the right thing to do. Talk to the right people. I know sometimes people think it's going to cost too much money. I can tell you, I mean, they don't charge a lot. It's a very, 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 very small percentage. And compared to how much they can save you or help you to make, to me, I'm not losing anything. And I'm willing to pay for knowledge. I'm willing to pay for the experience that somebody can offer me when it comes to my finances. I think the only other question that I have is, I know we've talked about businesses and we talk about personal things. Do you think it's advisable for at least everyone to have some type of business, mainly for tax benefits, for investment, for retirement purposes? Do you think anyone should at least have an LLC?
I like that question. I'm not sure if it's a trick question or not, Eugenia. No, I'm just joking. So, and I'm going to start off by answering that. It really depends on you as a person, right? Is that something that you want to dive into? Some people enjoy what they do and don't want the headache of owning a business, but can it provide a lot of additional opportunities, especially to help out for taxes? It most certainly can. Um, but it can also be you can also be susceptible to losses as well, right? Depending on the type of business that you do. So that really depends on each person. I think that business owners do have a lot more flexibility, even if you are employed with a full-time job as well. It creates additional opportunities that you can take advantage of outside of you being a W-2 employee. So if you are 1099, it opens up a lot of doors for a lot of different windows. Eugenia, I really thank you very much for sharing that story about how you and I met and how we partner together now. And Eugenia didn't invite me on here for people to, reach out to me and utilize me. She brought me on here to really spread as much knowledge as we can, and she hit the nail on the head. If you live in an area and you're looking for someone local, please reach out to somebody, reach out to a friend that has a trusted resources that they can refer to you. But I am registered in 13 different states, right? This is the new world now where we're doing things on Zoom, we're doing things on phone calls and not in person so much anymore. So we do have the flexibility. I'm in California, Las Vegas, Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona. I'm all over the place. So advisors do have the flexibility to partner with people in different states, especially those who may be in military or anything like that. They should be able to help you as you're preparing for retirement and or as you're living in retirement. You are only as strong as the team, or excuse me, you are only as strong as the people that you surround yourself with. I am a firm believer of that. All my clients, depending on what they're looking to accomplish, I refer out trusted resources all the time. Medicare, right? Those of us who are coming into age 65 years young, there's some good things that come with 65 years young, right? Maybe you need Medicare support to be able to make sure you're getting into the right plan. If you need estate planning to get your wills, health directive, power of attorneys, trusts, if it's applicable for you, I have trusted resources for that. So you're only as strong as the people that are around you and making sure that you have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed for things that are important to you. Not everything applies to every single pardon me. And there are a lot of things applied differently to individuals who are W-2 employees, and there are a lot of things that apply to business owners who are 1099 or S Corp or C Corp or LLC, however you have it set up. So um, we're able to work with everybody for depending on where they're at in their stage of life. And I also think that Eugenia made a very strong point saying that uh, it's a myth out there saying people you need to have a lot of money to invest money. That's not true at all, right? You can start with $250 and keep on building on top of that and just watch that money grow over time. Some of us might not have enough time, right? Some of us may be working going into retirement. But guess what? That's okay too. I don't like playing guessing games. A lot of my clients I found out don't like playing guessing games either. So when you take the time to understand your net worth and cash flow, and you take the time to put all this information into a retirement plan, and you know how much you want to spend in retirement and or what your monthly expenses are, there's no more guessing games. You know exactly what you need to do. Okay, I need to work part-time to make X amount of money to be able to support my things that I want to do in retirement and my monthly expenses. Or I'm okay. I can go ahead and retire now and I'll live on this money. It's going to last me till I'm 94 years old. I have I want to use my money to see some of my children and grandchildren to benefit while I'm living because I know I'm not going to spend it all during my lifetime. Or I want to create some tax-free advantages for my family and make sure that I'm doing Roth conversions. And when I pass this money on, they're not going to be adversely impacted by it. So there are so many different strategies to explore depending on everybody's situation. And that's why when I came here this evening with Eugenia, I wanted to talk about things that are important on people's minds because I can talk about all things all day long, but at night might not apply to this specific audience right now. And I want to answer questions that are meaningful to people. So thank you very much for taking the time to have me, Eugenia. I do want to ask before we end up parting ways. I know my contact information is in there, so feel free to reach out. Feel free to reach out to Eugenia if that's something that you would like to do. But any additional last minute questions that comes on your mind at all right now?
No, I think I'm done.
All right, awesome.
More questions will come later after the fact, so I will send
Mhm. Great. And then and just keep in mind that if you end up emailing me or going to my site and you try to schedule an appointment, feel free to do so. Some things I cannot reply to via email. If you're asking specific questions, they have to be verbally communicated. Just depends on it when it comes to quotes and certain interest rates and things like that to be more specific. But thank you very much for taking the time to have me on here tonight, Eugenia. It was a pleasure to meet everybody that was on the call, and I look forward to potentially joining something in the future if I can be available for everyone.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. James, for joining us. This was very, very, very informative, and I hope that we've all learned something from it. Even if you're not ready to start anything right now, at least it's information that you can use later in the future. If you're already doing something, you may have some questions to ask your financial advisor to help tweak some of your plans that you have right now. But overall, I think we've learned so much from your presentation today, Mr. James. Very glad to have you. One more announcement, and we'll be done for tonight. Women of Hope is our women's group that we meet once a year to do a program. This year is scheduled for September 18th to the 22nd, and we're going on a cruise.
Oh,
So,
nice.
we're having our information session on Sunday, April 27th at 8 p.m. And it's going to be with the same Zoom link on this same platform to discuss a little bit about the cruise, what entails, the costs, but we'll be leaving from Florida to Mexico. So September 18th to the 22nd, we're going to on a cruise, sail to empowerment. So join us next Sunday, the 27th at 8 p.m. to talk more about this event. Thank you all for joining, and thank you so much for my team for your hard work for helping put this together because I couldn't do it without you. So thank you very much. And you can reach me on my phone 443-623-6080. You can email me, Dr. Eugenia Caternor at gmail.com. You can visit my website, dreugeniacaternor.net. You can join us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, subscribe, share all this information so other people can also learn from us. So thank you all for joining and good night. And again, happy Easter and be safe. Bye bye.